Yeah,
Excited.
the Grassroots Warrior Network.
Right.
Okay, are we getting ready to go live?
We're live. We're live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to High Vibes Up. We have Kevin Hoyt, self-proclaimed governor of Vermont, and he started something new called Grassroots Warrior Network. Kevin, thank you so much for being here. Love that.
Thanks for having me. I know, don't you like that ant? He's kind of cute, but now with the mohawk, that's a Trojan battle ant, right? That's the Grassroots Warrior Network. We've become the news, ladies. You should be proud. All the people who stand up out there, I see you, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, right? So we've become the news. So I figured, how come we don't have a news network, right? So again, I've gathered myself and 20 of my friends, right? This cosmic family. And again, these are experts at what we do. Some of the biggest names, I guess, in the alternative news, the Michael Jacobs and the Mark Atwoods and those type people. So there's 21 of us total, the angelic number. And we're bringing you 3 shows a day, spiritual, educational, news, politics, all in one place. And it's always for free. So I hope people check us out over on Rumble. Again, free, but this is paid for by public support, right? It costs a lot of money to do what we do and to run networks and all that things. But if you can't pay this month, that's okay. The important part is getting you this information and news so you can brace for impact and some of the new technologies and again, the geopolitical. It's everything you need all in one location. And one thing I love about it, I'm going to almost pick on one of our anchors, Tammy Hudson. She's a 27-year master herbalist. She knows all about God's medicine, and she's never done videos before in her life, but she's a superstar and she knows a lot, right? So I kind of hijacked her and said, you're going to do this. And if you look at her productions, she films on an iPhone, never edited, never done a podcast ever before in her life until a couple of weeks ago. And compare that to a Mark Atwood, who is a, when Mark submitted his first show, I'm like, man, now I need a title sequence. I got up my game to keep up with Mark Atwood, but it's a real diverse crowd. It's everything you can possibly imagine. If you're into UFOs and Bigfoot, we got that. If you're into, the news, what's happening in Ukraine or over in the Middle East, we got that too. So hopefully people come and check us out. Like I said, always for free. This weekend, actually, if you don't mind, I know I'm a talker. If you don't mind, this weekend on Sunday, starting at 11 o'clock on Rumble, we're giving away, we're going to have a meet the team type of marathon from 11 in the morning until probably 7 or 8 at night. We're giving away free guns and silver. I don't know how to make it more appealing or to get them to hate me more. Of course, it's all legal with background checks and everything. But again, we've got some incredible gifts, thousands of dollars worth of gifts we're going to give away to our followers and our fans. And that's bait. I'm baiting people. Come on over and check us out. It ain't going to cost you anything. But if you do want to support us, we appreciate that too.
So it's like a one-stop shop there. They could find anything on your network.
Anything and everything. And that was the, the idea I hardly watch anything anymore. I don't have to look for trouble. You guys called me, if you remember, right? So I get all the intel. And the truth is, that's the viewers. You guys are the grassroots warriors. I'm the pretty face, so I get all the credit here, but I'm not I'm a deer hunter from Bennington. That's my old line, right? And I am running Vermont State. I didn't get the job, but I claimed the seat and title, and we're doing it anyway. Definitely didn't get the paycheck. But the new technologies, these new policies, the things, we're doing it anyway because it's the right thing to do. But when I wanted to look for news, like I got to go to this platform and see what Janine's got and go over here and see what Michael's got. And, we're hopping all over. So again, we've been putting up 21 shows a week, which is a lot of content.
Wow.
And,
That is.
for the last couple weeks. And our official launch again is this Sunday, June 11th, where we meet the whole team. And 21 turned into a lot more, actually. We have, in fact, we talked about it, Diane. I've got Kathy O'Brien, again, human trafficking survivor at a presidential level, incredible woman. Again, she was afraid with the equipment that she has in the service. So she was one of our original 21. And then her media team got involved in time and schedules, and she couldn't do that. So we left that slot open. So we actually have a guest slot or a guest time, if you will, where we're bringing on all these other content providers like you guys, because there's a million of us and we're all qualified. We all got the news. We are the news. And the same for the regular people. I'm interviewing, Jason Tupper. He's a superstar from Rochester, Minnesota. Never done a podcast, man. This guy's a great researcher. He's got the dirt. So we have a platform for you, the people, right, to have a voice. And that's the whole concept behind this. And it's not a regular network. We're not a marketing network. We have, again, it's commercial-free content. We have lots of products that we talk about, but it's not about the money. It's because, again, you'll get your show canceled because I'm going to tell you we have the cure for cancer, right? We have it. We're talking about that. I'm dealing with the new money. I'm dealing with the new banking system, med beds.
Can we code it somehow? Can we use some codes?
Well,
and then people can jump onto Rumble and check that out there.
Well, and what we're going to do, and again, we're guinea pigs right now. These new technologies, whether it's scalar technology or lights, and frequency is a big thing. We're actually dealing with actual med beds like you guys are talking about, right? And we all heard about those things. I have a friend, and he's opened up a $60 million facility down in Florida. We're going to have 40 of these med beds, and we're going to have them all over, right? So this stuff is coming. We just got to wait for the old system to crash, and we're helping out with that stuff too. Right?
Yeah, we've definitely got some big stuff coming ahead of us for sure, and exciting times ahead too. And it's all about looking forward. It's all about moving forward into the new energies, the new times, new levels. It's all about, we are going there together, everybody collectively in collaboration. I love what you have in the background there. That's a real warrior outfit, and we all have to have our armor. We all have to be ready for this change, for this shift. There is no kind of time to waste. It's like, come on, guys, grab your swords, grab your stuff. Let's go.
It's the armor of God. And again, we do it with love, in armor. You know what I mean? Like one of the technologies we're bringing to Vermont State, and I hope all over, is hemp. The things we are doing with hemp is incredible. Rope, paper, lumber, all this other concrete, hempcrete, right? Cars. One of the things we're doing is we're building armor out of hemp. And then again, people are like, armor. I thought we were peace, love, and unity, Kevin. Well, whose army wears hemp? God's army wears hemp, right? And it's another thing I learned. Not all gods or angels, right? They're not all here just to guide us. Some of them are here for battle, right? And that's why I think I'm here, but we do it with law and order. Nobody's getting crazy or violent. That's the other side, right? No. So the good news is we're winning. Like I said, we are the news. And I know in Vermont, about 33%, ironic number, pulled their kids out of schools last year in Vermont State to homeschool, right? And you look at medical, what's happening with the medical community, system, anything system, judicial system, medical system, education system, financial system, tax system, I could keep going, right? Those are all bad, and we're watching them literally self-destruct, right? And the news is confusing to a lot of people, and the people that are awake like us, that news is not for us. It's the best way that I can put it. We are literally watching a movie. Most of this is over. And how do you tell the world this crazy story? This is how. High vibes, right? Michael J.
Vibes, yeah, for sure.
That's how you do it. It's us.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of everybody too. I mean, if you guys look back, even in your lives or my life or any of us, you look back at what we've accomplished in the last year against all odds too. It's remarkable. It really is. And we're winning. That's another lie. We are the majority now, right? Ants, that ant is important in a whole bunch of different ways, because we outnumber them, 1,000 to 1, probably 10,000 to 1. And ants, it's just a little ant. Do you feel like an ant? Anybody out there ever felt like an ant? I'm a little Kevin Hoyt. What am I going to do for chemtrails or election fraud, or what am I going to do, right? But ants, they can lift. They're incredibly strong. They can carry 100 times their body weight. right?
Yeah.
They're really intuitive. Of course, they got antennas. Guess few of us have whiskers, so we qualify. But the colony is part of it, right? The strength in numbers is the thing. And what I've discovered is everybody out there, your mom was right. You're special, right? Your unique experience that you call your life makes you who you are, and you have key pieces to this puzzle. So now what we're discovering is it's as easy as just telling your story. Your mess is your message. Your mess is your life. Mess gets better with age, mess age, right?
Beautiful.
So what you do is you come out and you tell it, and then other people, and we're starting to build our own puzzles, because what the government and the media, we discovered that was all a big lie. What happened is they told us we're looking at the Hawaiian beach scene. And now we start to put some puzzles, and here's a penguin and here's a polar bear. And I still don't know what's going on, but I know it's not a Hawaiian beach scene anymore. Right. So that's where we are. And again, the childhood wonder, this discovery that I'm finding is absolutely amazing. I hope people aren't missing this. I really hope you're out there active and involved. I think they're going to sing songs about us, watch holographic movies, or read books, or whatever they're going to do. So, when this is all said and done, nobody's going to say that I didn't try, because I'm running for office. I'm in court. I'm making phone calls and going to meetings and speaking and traveling and doing podcasts. I've done over 6,000 podcasts in the last 5 years. And that doesn't include going on, the hundreds of other shows or the speaking events or all the different things. And it's funny, nobody in Vermont, they still don't know who I am. Nobody ever heard from me. Ran for governor for 2 different terms, currently have a warrant. Hey, that's something new. Have you guys ever had a fugitive on your show before?
Not yet.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Do you want to tell that little story real quick?
Well, sure. Again, this goes back to, it's now a crime to report crimes by our officials, per those same officials. I had a court order that said I couldn't say someone's name. And I hope people realize on face value, that's not a legal court order, right? I have the freedom of speech and the freedom of press. Those are pretty important to a lot of people. So I continued. So there's a gentleman named Christopher Bates, right? That I'm not supposed to say his name. He was a fugitive, a felony fugitive on the run with a warrant and a bounty, a 19-page criminal NCIC record. Held his wife hostage with a shotgun, punched his sister in the face, multiple batteries on women in law enforcement. They appointed Chris to office so they didn't have to get stuck with me, right? But they didn't look into his background. So all these crimes, again, we have a gentleman now that was, again, he's an ex-representative now, still a full-time felon, but I've got pictures of Mr. Bates after he fled the state of Illinois. Again, he wasn't supposed to leave Illinois. He wasn't supposed to have firearms. I got him on Vermont soil shooting a military issue M16, 5 days after his court, again, conditions in Illinois. So obvious, no regard for law or court orders. But we have, again, in this case, we had a gentleman that's passing gun control for Vermonters, and I'm a strong 2A guy, while breaking federal gun law himself. And I had a problem with that. So I've taken it to everybody, from my town to the town police, the state police, the attorney general, all of our legislators, and nobody wanted to talk about it. So now they made it a crime. I can't talk about Chris. Of course, it hasn't really slowed me down any. In fact, I just increased my podcast. So they've issued, they cut my brake lines in my car a year ago, April. So I had to leave my home and community as a candidate for governor. No one ever read about any of that stuff. But then they made it official 7 days before the 2022 elections. I was actually down in Orlando at an election integrity conference with Juan O'Savin and Kim Cordova and Dr. Frank and Seth Kitchell and some really big names. And we were watching the 2022 cheat in real time. The population of every state. Well, again, they were inflating the voter rolls. The population was growing in real time. We were watching it. Then they vote with the fake names and wipe them out and think we're not watching. We've been watching since 2018, right? And again, so I come back from the election integrity conference with a whole bunch of evidence. And I've been riding them pretty hard for 5 or 6 years anyway, naming judges and senators, right? Calling them out. So that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And again, it was 7 days before election, so it was meant to tarnish me as well. But they issued a warrant for my arrest, which I ignored for a long time because I'm a busy guy. I had stuff to do. I'm out. I'm not even part of that system. So I ended up like a month ago. I said, okay, I'm ready. Let's go. This is perfect because I am a defendant now. That gives me the right to discovery, which means I can put them under oath and ask them anything I want.
Right.
So I started that process. I put in my first set of interrogatories, which is a fancy word for questions. I'm a deer hunter. I shouldn't even know what that word means, but I do. So I put in my first set of questions. I put in an injunction, actually, and then a motion for discovery. I want to start depositions. I'm ready to go. I actually have a court document from the Vermont State Courts saying my motion for discovery is denied. And I want people to think about that, because that's like whether I'm right or wrong, right? It doesn't even matter. This is the foundation. This is innocent until proven guilty. Due process. If we accuse you of something, they have to tell you what you did, right? And again, then I have that right. But they issued this warrant in October, and then in January, they changed the law so that they don't have to give us discovery in Vermont State now if you have a warrant, right? And again, the system just morphs. And this is part of crazy Kevin, right? I'm in an election that I know is rigged and we can't win. I'm fighting in court, which is a corrupt system. I'm fighting in the corrupt system, right? Within itself, right? Probably going to get out lawyered. So people are like, what are you doing? Were you nuts? It's for you. Look, watch, go research why I have a warrant, start asking questions and look around. And that's what we're doing, is we're highlighting it. But talked about ascension too. I want to talk about that, where we're going forward. And we're moving forward now.
Oh.
I think a lot of this is your consciousness, and we talk about that a lot, but it's the ability to accept the bad things too, and understand, because bad things are going to happen, right?
It's the acknowledgement of the dark and the light, and there is an opposite to everything in contrast. So it's what we make in a choice that's important, that's driving this forward. Yeah. And the more we make the right choices with our higher selves in alignment.
Right. Well, it's coming down to, and the better life gets that way. Once you start, I call it walking with God. Yes. And we're faced with, this is Campus Earth, a giant God school. So every day you have 100 tests, and it's easy as doing the right thing. That's literally how easy this is, right? If you see something, say something, do something. You can't be passive anymore. And again, we're watching a movie. I say that all the time. That doesn't mean sit back and eat popcorn. Be active. Marcus Kahn just told me a term, active patience, or there was something where, again, we're waiting. We're all waiting right now for something to happen, but it doesn't mean just idle, right? We're participating as we're waiting. And that's very important to this. But I'm talking about all the bad stuff in my life, all the why me's and, all the crap that we've all had. I look back at all those things now and I'm thankful. Again, when I ran for House of Representatives in 2018, I got my butt handed to me from a guy from Chicago, right? That sucked at the time, but it forced an election audit where we proved 60 to 70% fraud and can trace it back at least to 1975, right? Wow. And then my elected officials wouldn't listen. Hey, we found the cover up, right? But without that, without all these bad things, I wouldn't know what interrogatory means. These guys created me. They built me. They didn't oppress me and murder my friends and overtax me and do all these things. I wouldn't be here right now if I wasn't targeted, if they didn't come after me. And, most people, hopefully you won't wait until they actually come after you, because the truth is they're coming after you already, right? You're already being oppressed. You're a part of the system. You've been abused by this system. And by not doing anything, by waiting, it's not going to help anything. So get out there and be active. But again, that consciousness, being able to absorb the bad stuff and realize it happened for a reason, and then figuring out what that reason is, and understanding the lesson in it. Again, we talked about a cure for cancer, right? There's a gentleman named Marcus Kahn from a past life in the outdoor industry. He has a tumor on his face that was really, really bad. And I didn't know if he was going to survive in April. And I told him back then, because he basically walked away from Big Pharma, didn't want any more chemotherapy and radiation and all other things that they wanted him to do, or he was going to die. So he walked over here and he tried immunotherapies and a Genesis 1 laser, right? And we're talking about this tumor swelled to the point where it pushed an eyeball out of socket. He couldn't see, knocked teeth out. This thing was growing. It was bad. And in the last, I don't know, we've been at it for 5 or 6 weeks now, but we've reduced that by like 95%. That tumor's almost gone. So they can't advertise that, but I'm going to tell you what's happening and what we're doing. There's another product that we're putting out right now. It's called Cold and Flu Stop, coldandflustop.com, right? This is a Native American recipe. It's all 100% natural. It actually started back in the Spanish flu. They looked at what part of the world didn't get affected, right? And there's this one Native American tribe out west that didn't die. Everybody else died all around the world except these guys. So of course, we have scientists now and professional guys that can upgrade it a little bit, but they took this product, and during the Bush administration, when we were pounded with SARS, they proved that it killed SARS, right? And now COVID comes out, it kills COVID, knocks it dead in its track, 7 different kinds of COVID. It's got the federally accredited labs behind it, all the testing, a couple decades worth of research, but now the federal government doesn't want to listen to those labs, because they had a vaccine over here. And it's the same. This comes with,
we want to make sure we keep this YouTube friendly.
Okay. Well, and again, there's
the jibby jabby.
I already blew it for you girls. I think you called me, so your whole channel is going to get taken down. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Well, again, this product
we'll hold strong.
The Cold and Flu Stop. This is a Native American recipe. It's 100% natural. It's safe. There's no side effects at all. 10 years of federally accredited lab testing. It kicks the shit out of everything, right? Everything that you can imagine. Lots of witness testimonies. There's no pharma required. There's no prescription, no doctor, no government, no nothing. Is there any reason? Can you guys see any reason why they wouldn't want that on the lab? They have to actually advertise that as a dietary supplement.
Of course.
The same with Genesis 1. They can't talk about the things their lasers do, right? Or they get taken down, they get fined. Some of the, again, as the governor, self-proclaimed governor of Vermont, I'm working with a lot of patent holders, manufacturers, distribution people, that we have engines that run on air. They run on water. I've seen a generator you can plug your house into and run for 25 years on air. The problem is, if I tell you who that is, he ends up dead in a ditch.
No,
I'm telling you, this is real, because I know these people. We're talking to them. We've got a way to clean up the oceans. Everybody's worried about cars and gas and the green energy lie. And, I interviewed the woman, her father designed the controls for the underground gravity levitation train back in the 60s.
the maglev.
The maglev, right? Those are real. I've seen pictures. I've seen the whole things. They're existent, right? So all these, it sounds so absurd, right?
Yeah,
I used to say unbelievable, but inconceivable is my new word, because some of the stuff that they've been doing and the technologies we have are, it's simply incredible. And somehow I'm in the middle of it. Like I said, I'm just a regular guy, I swear to God. And now I feel like I'm watching my favorite episode of Ancient Aliens, but I'm in the middle. Like, I know these people. That guy with the crazy hair, I know him now, right? It's Mark Atwood or whatever.
Yeah, right.
What an adventure.
In a cosmic suit, yes.
Yeah.
As he says.
In Mark's cosmic
Mark's
suit.
phrase, his cosmic suit. And so just want to kind of ask questions with regards to, there is so much going on.
There is.
All around us. There is so much in collaboration. Things are unfolding and also renewing at the same time. So as things are renewing and we're coming into the new times, the new energy frequencies, the new awareness consciously that's upon us too. Each and every day, I think we're learning something new. Although we've always had this, because everything exists at the same time. So our frequency is rising so that we become more aware of it. It's been there. Everything exists at the same time through all time-space reality. So therefore, as consciously we're growing, you can see that because it's becoming more and more evident. So as you shine more light, things are coming in front of us, around us. We hear, see, and it's about, okay, how do we embrace this? What do we do? It's not just for ourselves, it's also for the children. And I think moving forward, you spoke about homeschooling. You spoke about how do we save our children? How do we protect our children best that we can? You know, what wisdom can you kind of put on that? Because it's not just about the old systems anymore, because I think there's so much you've already highlighted.
Why are you paying someone else to babysit your children? And that's what people watching gotta, do you use school for daycare? Or are you using it so your kid can get an education and a head start at life? And now let's look at that education, indoctrination, from critical race theory to Gary the transgender dinosaur. They tell you they don't even need parental consent anymore. They're going to do whatever they want, whether it's masks during gym class or, again, so many different inoculations that you have to have just to get into school, right? And you look at again, as governor of Vermont, I think it's very, I've got the policy. Education reform is very important to me. And I think the future of education is homeschool, private school, charter school. And it's as simple as the money follows the student, right? But the problem right now in Vermont state, it's about $21,000 per student for some of the lowest test scores in the nation. That's too high. That's too much money. And that's another part of the racket. You know, they've gotten so much tax out of you, and they're still asking for more, right? But they can't just get it out of your property tax and all your other taxes and local taxes and tax, right? So they bury it in education, you know, and again, I have this conversation with parents and they're like, man, Kevin, both of us are working every day. Like, how do we can't, how do we do that? Well, you adjust for is what you do. And if everybody did that, no students means no school, you just saved 85% of your taxes. I want people to think about that for a second. Now you can afford it, right? So again, with the money following the student, if you're going to homeschool, that $21,000 is coming back to you. Now you can educate your kids and take them on field trips. And, you know, I'm an old school guy. Like when I grew up, my dad was the breadwinner and my mom stayed home. And I love that, to be honest. I think that's our job as parents. It's our number one job, take care of our kids. And the same when you get to this, you know, all these embezzlement, money laundering, all these horrible things that we talk about, it all goes to human trafficking. You know, my experience, every rabbit hole that I've been to, that's where it ends up. And again, it's our own government. It's so incredible. It's so incredible. My sheriff, again, I'm a reporting party for our multi-state federal RICO investigation here in Vermont state. So I'm a guy that turned in my sheriff. Everybody's like, go to your sheriff. Yeah, I arrested my sheriff, right? So the BOLO, which is a statewide issue, law enforcement, be on the lookout for my sheriff and my high bailiff. The charges were human trafficking, drug trafficking, murder, obstruction. And then it went from the sheriff to Judge Colvin, James Colvin in Bennington. And we just went right up the ladder. There's over 60 officials in Vermont state in the last year that are gone, right? And they're lying. They retired, they moved, they resigned. No, they didn't. I know better because I'm helping on the backside of it. And we're talking about my attorney general, my secretary of state, some big players, some big names. So it might seem like nothing's happening, but there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. What we're watching on that propaganda machine is just fear porn, right? And it's always been. And for the longest time, the bad guys had control of it, and they MK Ultra'd us. From the Challenger explosion where that teacher didn't die. I had to watch that shit in school, traumatized me, to 9/11, to the JFK assassination, to all these other things. That's MK Ultra, right back to Kathy O'Brien. Well, now the good guys have control, but they're using the same fear tactics. They're showing you their plan. And we get to watch Bumbling, Stumbling Joe. So, and at the same time, we're debunking the media. They're the only ones with lower approval ratings than President Corn Pop. Right? Nobody.
I call him Bo Jiden.
Well, did you see? That's his nickname, right? when
No.
corn pop, the hair raised
Oh,
up
yeah.
on my legs, or that crazy.
Yeah. Oh my
We get to see
God.
that. And the fact that we're
Please.
talking about
Freak me out.
cannibalism and human trafficking and all these, like, I never imagined we'd be having these discussions ever. But the fact
Yeah.
that we're talking about them is progress. If the bad guys were in control, we'd be having this conversation in the FEMA camp. The fact that we know that there was FEMA camps now tells me that
Yeah.
we're moving forward, right? And we're still here. We're winning. In fact, all you guys, everybody watching, you were supposed to go away years ago, but you didn't. And I love you for it. That's the American spirit. That's the patriot in us.
Yeah.
And
It's a high
again,
vibes family. Yeah, we stick together, right? We
it
grow
is.
together. Yes.
It is. So I'm excited about the future. I think there's a lot of, and that's my plans for, education, but I've got so many policies. In fact, I like that. If you want to go into solutions, because we talk a lot about the doom and gloom, I can go into, again, I announced on June 3rd, we had the Air Defender 2023. I don't know if you guys see this. It's the largest military warforce gathering ever seen in history going on right now in Germany, right? So we announced that. Since then, we've got, pictures from the Cavalier Yacht and Golf Club in the Chesapeake Bay, Virginia. We got military helicopters with 50 caliber machine guns and door gunners. That's kind of unusual for Chesapeake Bay. This was 2 days ago. Got the same report from, again, upstate New York. We got here in Vermont state, we have boots on the ground, lots of reports of National Guard, but it's not Vermont boots, it's National Guards from other states. First time in history, all 50 states are activated, right? That's never happened. People should look at which president, that can only happen under presidential order. Which president gave that order? Derek Johnson. Big shout out to you, buddy. We got major jet traffic, F-35s, helicopters, transport coming in from it started in Vermont. I put a post up. We got reports from all over the country. We had a Vermont cold
Do you watch
water.
Monkey Work?
What's that?
You watch Monkey Works?
I do.
He's amazing. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I was just curious if that's where you were getting some of your info, because
some of it we do, and you should look at the different planes and trips back and forth to Cuba or wherever we're going to the spa, right?
Yeah.
But the military planes that aren't on there are just as important, and we're watching them too. Yep. So again, we can hear, you can see F-35s when you see them. In fact, I got some cloaked pictures of some advanced aircraft, right? Where I was trying to get pictures of F-35s, just hold my phone up trying to get them. You get like 3 seconds. And I captured whatever they were flying with, which is kind of cool. So we're getting these reports from all over, but like the international facilities, world of international facilities, this is all prisons and nursing homes and schools, right? They've been ordered to have 10 days extra food on supply, ordered. This isn't a voluntary, thing. This is an order. It's not a warning or nothing like that. So that's happening. We have military troop movements on US 1 in North Carolina. We got lots of stuff happening in Massachusetts. We have military action in Poland. We got it going on in Ontario, which is Western Canada. Here in Vermont state, I was talking about emergency alerts, right? Like a month ago, we had a really weird one where it was a water alert, where they were warning us to not go in the water because it's warm and you could go into the water and go into shock. And I'm like,
what's wrong with the water?
Well, it's Lake Champlain. Again, we don't have any oceans in Vermont state, but it's our biggest waterway, right? We cut a hole in that thing in January and jump into it. We call it the Polar Bear Club, Relay for Life. You guys probably do the same thing, right? So what are they talking about? And then when I put that alert up, it goes all over to other places. We got one right now with it's an air quality alert. And this is funny. This was issued, it started June 5th, which is Monday at 3 o'clock, but they didn't issue the emergency until 4:32. And it's because of the air quality might not be healthy. It's beyond the standard because of the smoke particulates, right? From Quebec. In the last 2 days, Quebec lit on fire. Like the whole place lit on fire. And I saw down in New Jersey, again, once I put up that air alert, the same alerts happening in Minnesota. That's a long way from Quebec. Same thing happening down in Tennessee. We're getting all these different New Jersey. Again, New Jersey, the smoke and everything that's happening down there is incredible. We're getting those pictures today. And
Satnam is in Canada.
I mean, Canada's on fire. So we
Yeah.
see it everywhere. Edmonton, you name it, in different places, it's
But-
on fire.
Holy
But do
crap.
you actually see it? Because what we found out, and the same thing happened here, is, you know, we get reports, this place is on fire, roads are closed, stay away. And of course, my idiot friends go there and the roads are open and they get in and there's no fire. And we report that. So next thing you know, now we have fires, but they're nothing out of control. They're fires and a lot of smoke, right? And are they just keeping people away from these areas is what I'm questioning and wondering. And
I have a
believe
question.
This is the underground stuff. I think the same thing happened out west, all those fires. I think
Yeah.
there's stuff happening
Right,
underground.
underground is kind of a cover
Yeah,
up.
we've been, and again, people talk about the chemtrails, right?
Yeah.
And what's happening in our skies. And again, cloud cover, keyword. I think
Yes.
those have changed. I don't think it's aluminum, barium, lithium, cadmium, all those poisons that they've been spraying us with for 5 decades. You wonder why grandma's got dementia or Alzheimer's. That's
Exactly.
why, right? But I think it's something new because I watched them changed. I was one of the first guys screaming about that as a conservationist. And I watched them stop for a little while when Trump first came in, and then they changed. I don't know what they're spraying, and I don't like the idea of them spraying anything, but I think they're hiding the sky from us. I think there's a lot of things happening that they don't want us to know about. And that's part of, you know, we're in a covert mission for anybody who doesn't know yet, right? And covert means guys smarter than me are doing stuff in the background that's secret and we're not supposed to know about.
We're in the middle of a covert operation and we don't know which way to go, left or right or up or down or under the stupid desk. I mean, what do you
I
do?
think I think it's the largest joint military civilian operation that's ever existed. Is what I think it is. And I think you are the biggest white hat player. You're the star of the movie. You're your own saber. Everybody, right? Each one of us, when we finally get up and do something, what's it going to
Say I've
take?
had enough.
Yeah. And again, that's that the news that's not for us that we're watching, all the stuff that I was just reading.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right now, here's a good scenario for people, because for the last 5 years, we called it conspiracy theory, right? And we talked about this Chinese infiltration, the fifth column, whatever we want to call it, right? And again, they laughed at us, but now we went from conspiracy theory and infiltration to an actual invasion, if you guys remember, right? We shot down those Chinese spy balloons, right? Now, I don't think they were Chinese. I think they were actually NASA's satellite system, but we shot them down and we claimed that it was Chinese. So we declared our enemy. So whether it's poison medicine or weaponized food or election interference or all these things, the CCP is our enemy. So now my governor, Phil Scott, my lieutenant governor, David Zuckerman, my secretary of state, James Kondos, meeting with Wan Ping, who's the consul general for the Chinese Communist Party. Now that's going to matter, right? Or Pocahontas with her sister city, or the Hunter laptop up in where our enemy is us. We've just declared the CCP as the enemy. We are our own enemy. A lot of people don't realize, like right now, the United States of America is being accused of world genocide, specifically the DOD, Department of Defense, Fauci and WHO, right? You can look at the rest of the world is aware of this. They're talking about it in the European Parliament. That's why we're being sanctioned. That's why they're not accepting our money. That's why China just came up with the petrodollar, and BRICS is sweeping the nation, right? Or the world. We're going to go ahead.
My dentist is Russian. They came from Russia.
Yeah.
And they traveled to Russia, not just recently, and they bought their ticket, but they couldn't get a ticket to Russia. They had to stop midway, and her sister had to use the Russian rubles to purchase the ticket to get them the rest of the way there, because they would not accept the American dollar. And then they had to do the exact same thing to get home. It took them 3 days flying. 3 days.
People got to look at that when they're traveling again, and we're able to travel again finally. But yeah, you got to look at those things. And OPEC is not selling oil. They refuse to sell oil to America. And again, people, you want to talk about problems, like where are we going to get our oil? Russia, right? Joe's got a problem. And again, all of this is such a lie and narrative. I just talked about CCP, right? And how they're our enemy. I was reporting almost 3 years ago now, they were talking about ending the CCP on Chinese television. You don't do that. You get executed for that, right? That was 3 years ago. When China went through COVID and they did the lockdown, they live in concrete buildings with steel doors and bars on the window, and they welded them shut. Well, a few bars wiggled loose and a few doors kicked out, and they've been in the middle of a giant revolution for forever. And you're going to find out that the People's Republic of China is actually a good guy. And I think the same thing for, whoever's playing the Putin brand. I don't think that's brand, or that's Putin, just like that's not Joe. Most people are, I was crazy Kevin when I first said that. That's not Joe Biden. Now everybody knows, I hope. That's not Joe. That's not Putin either. And if you think about the task at hand, we're taking back our planet from the world cabal. I own everything, all the money, they're all corporate. Of course we needed Russia and China and North Korea and all these, odd allies for us. But I think we're in the middle of it's World War IV, it's World War III, generation 4 and 5 warfare. Information warfare is what it is. But it's a world alliance against a world cabal, right? I'm naming all the police officers and corrupt people in my town. I back the blue. Most officers are great people. They got into that, again, as governor, I wouldn't defund the police. I'd give them more money because I believe in better equipment and training. But we got to make sure the top tier, the guys in charge, are, we talk about another big. Well, we just, I'll give your viewers a hint. If you have something in your town that ends in trust or association, you should look at that, because I found in Vermont state, we live in a society of shell companies, right? So the Vermont Sheriff's Association has a matching EIN number with the Mount Anthony Preservation Society. That's a nonprofit owned by Judge Colvin. So what an EIN is it's like a fingerprint. It's a unique individual business number. It's a federal identification number. So my business can't match your business, especially if they're different tax bases like this, right?
Wow.
So not just the Vermont Sheriff's Association, the Vermont New Hampshire Christmas Tree Association. We have the Bennington Child Care Association. We know that as Sunrise, or Bennington Alcohol Regional Alcoholics Anonymous Association. We have one that's called,
they're all doing it.
Well, and what it is, and these are some great programs. We have one that's PAVE, Project Against Violent Encounters. It's for battered women. It's a great program, helps a lot of people.
Right.
It's a shell company. It's an illegal front for embezzlement and money laundering. They don't pay taxes. That's what that is. Right. So we found that out. So again, Sunrise Daycare in Bennington, Vermont, not only has a matching EIN number with my judge, but it has what the FBI calls a pedophile symbol in their logo. And this is a child advocacy center that's run by the Vermont Department of Children and Families. And we start looking at CPS.
Oh
and
my
the fact
God.
that 2,200 kids a month disappear from state custody. Right, not only the kid, but their paperwork. This is where you go down those rabbit holes. We have a day camp in Vermont called Overcoming Barriers. We closed them down for human trafficking in 2021. If you look at Overcoming Barriers, this is where they sent Britney Spears' children. The little old Vermont state, nobody even heard of us, right? If you look at who ran that, guy's name was Jim Mandel. Got lots of pictures of Jim Mandel and Bernie, right? Bernie Sanders. The real Bernie, not the one you're seeing on TV. We got, if you look at the donors for that, it's Rights and Democracy Now! In Vermont, right? It's my lieutenant governor again, David Zuckerman. It's Doug Hoffer, my state auditor. They were endorsing and supporting a camp, a day camp that was human trafficking, like people. You should start.
I hope you're way, way deep in the jungle or the forest. Holy cow.
Well, that's why they cut my breakdowns and break lines. And even worse, if you look at who actually owns that camp, the woman's name is Marjorie Slavek, and she is a family court commissioner in the state of California. All right. And that led us to a program called JAMS. People can look this up too. JAMS. All 50 states, you have members of JAMS. That's a private judge hustle. So if we were married, right, and Judge Sontag in Bennington, Vermont, he's also Judge Sontag in Nevada, but his day rate in Nevada is like 25 grand. So we can go as celebrities to Judge Sontag, skip to the head of the line. There's no media or public scrutiny. We get an actual judge signature. The problem with that is there's no such thing as a private judge. He's not licensed to practice in Nevada, and none of these guys are paying taxes, right? So that's what happened with elections. Again, my original election audit, we had 322 discrepancies, that's errors, between my town books and my state books. That's enough alone for a forensic audit, right? But I released over 500 names in a county of 5,500 people. That was the A's and half the B's. That was it. Like I didn't even
Wow.
get it to the rest of that. That's how bad this cheat is. And then even better, again, it goes back to, Mike Gill, the Pandora Papers. The truth we know now, it's the American drug cartel. Governor Sununu in New Hampshire
Heard
actually
that.
runs both Vermont and Maine. There's a company called LHS Management. It's out of Salem, New Hampshire. They actually do all of our elections. My Secretary of State and none of our people even touch our Vermont ballots. They're all done out of state. In fact, LHS does it for 8 different states, right? If you look back, LHS is a foreign-owned company. Now, foreign only means outside of New Hampshire, Vermont. But if you
Right.
look, they're actually a foreign-owned company. Dominion, ever heard of them before? They're a subsidiary of Dominion. This is Salem, New Hampshire. Again, LHS is in Salem. Governor Sununu was born in Salem. Mike Gill was born in Salem, right? The last Trump rally wasn't in Manchester, wasn't in Keene, big cities. It was in Salem. These are
Little
comms,
Salem.
guys. If
Yep.
what we're watching again is giant sting after sting. I said a long time ago, there's no more elections. Like 2020 was our last stand. Nobody gets in, nobody until we fix this.
I've
I mean,
heard that.
I'm dealing with the RFK, Bobby Kennedy, and his campaign right now, along with Trump too. I'm trying to get endorsements out of both of them. If there's anything left of the parties when we get there, I don't think we're going to have 2024 elections. And if we do, it's going to be a whole new playing field, because what we have right now is not elections. It's the farthest thing from it. When we did our election audit, again, this is way back in 2018, we basically took 5,500 names and 5,500 addresses. Is this real? Is this real? Do they match? In every possible way that you can think of cheating, we caught them cheating. Fake names, dead names, change middle initials, change
Wow.
last names. One of the
Crazy.
problems, again, is the voter rolls. Here in Vermont State, we've never audited our election rolls ever in the history of Vermont.
Ever.
Never. So what
Oh
happens
my
is,
gosh.
we got a giant list of people who voted and it didn't count. And then even worse, we got a list of people who didn't vote, but somebody else voted for them. So if I'm living in Vermont State right now, and people kind of know me, right? So I move, I can't afford it. So I flee the state like everybody else. I move down to Florida or Texas, and I'm down there for 5 or 10 years. I'm not thinking about Vermont State. I'm voting in Texas and everything's going good with me. Well, my clerk still has my information. They're still voting for me, right? And that's what we're finding. We've got people that vote in Bennington, Vermont, that aren't US citizens. They've never been US citizens. People from Australia, Canada, Africa, right? All over. What are they doing? Why are they voting in my election? It's pretty incredible stuff when you look. But then the problem was I couldn't get my officials to look. Our elected officials didn't want to look at election fraud. Go figure. I know why now, right? But even if we could get them to look like Mike Lindell did, they throw 5,000 lawyers on it. And here we are years later and nothing happened. So we had to find a different way, and that is RICO. So if you look again at Trump or Giuliani or Kevin Hoyt right here in Vermont, RICO is racketeering. We've all been racketeered, right? On every level. Your local officials are just price inflating. You can pick a town project or a state project. They're straight up jacking the price up, straight up stealing your money. And then law enforcement, and again, I back the blue, but when they're not molesting our children, they're the ones distributing the drugs. When you get to the judge and senator level, it's a giant land grab. That's where you get into the private sector too. The lawyers and the bankers, right? What happens to your family farm, or your business or your home once it gets repossessed, how's it end up with the judge or the senator? That's what happens. And you guys can trace this stuff, but everybody right now, again, you're looking for evidence. Man, we got enough evidence. What do you do is the question. And you take it to them, right? And I found out the sad part a long time ago, there's nowhere for the people to go. I found all these incredible things, solid, undisputable evidence, and I gave it to my authorities who ignored me. I know why. Gave it to you guys and you laughed at me because it sounded crazy, especially 5 or 6 years ago, right?
Wow.
But people aren't laughing anymore. So what I did is I gave it back to the people. So starting, I guess, in like 2020 is when I became popular, I guess. I was taking that same evidence and I take it to the officials, but I bring you guys with me live. So you saw me give these stories to the local TV station, or you saw me down at my police station or at my sheriff's station or with the judge or the senator or the governor, and I tracked them all down. And they all know, everybody knows now, when this finally breaks and they say, well, we didn't know, and we got them, right? Because I told them, I know that now, and I laid down a tremendous paper path just for that special occasion. And we're getting there. Like I said, we're coming.
Wow. Dude, you bit off a shitload.
Yeah, I have. Well,
I
these are the
know.
things we haven't even got going. I mean, we
I
can connect.
know.
If there's a woman, here's one. In fact, she just made Steven Crowder. Well, actually, she was on The View, and then Steven Crowder talked about it. And I'm like, man, we've been talking about her for years. Martine Rothblatt. Have you ever heard that name?
No.
Martine. Martine she's the highest paid female CEO in the nation. She lives in Burlington, Vermont. She spent the first half of her life as a man. So Martin, it's not
Oh,
Martine.
yes.
Transgender, transhumanist, the facial recognition, 5G. She does the deep fake masks that you see on. She owns United Therapeutics. She's the largest pig cloner in the world. She wants to
Oh my God.
provide us with an endless supply of transplantable organs. Big on the green energy thing, right? She has manless drones that are sent. They have transhumanism hubs. She's got her own unitarist, I don't even know what it is. It's a anything church. They believe in everything, right? Talking about
Unitarian.
billion-dollar facilities. We've got structures. They're cutting, the top of our mountains off in New Hampshire for these charging stations for her green energy drones. Diesel generators, by the way. They still got to plug them into our transportation system. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, but most
connected
people don't know that.
No, and again, United Therapeutics, that's your first connection with adrenochrome. That's on, they have Bill Gates is connected. United Therapeutics, the graphic art for that website, from the blood font to the one-eyed Masonic frazzled drip, little scary characters. It's the same producer from Fear and Loathing Las Vegas, which is a reference. Again, Bill Gates, that's IBM. That's literally a couple miles from Beta Technology, which is her drone thing in the Burlington Airport. It's not the Burlington International Airport, though. We just renamed it the Patrick Leahy International Airport. Patrick Leahy from the Trump impeachment, the guy that found kindred spirits in George Soros and Jeff Epstein, just named an airport after him here in Vermont State. And the very next day, Dr. Jill Biden, not a real doctor, but she plays one on TV. She came to the Patrick Leahy International Airport to meet Martine. Martine is a big player with the Mayo Clinic. When you guys get sick and wonder what's wrong and you Google it, that's Martine Rothblatt. Inner Circle, that's the people who look after human trafficking, among other things. The WHO, the World Economic Forum, Governor Sununu, right back there again. And this is just one of a million players, but she's a pretty hardcore cabal player, and we've been calling her out for a long time. And now, again, this is starting finally to catch up on mainstream media. And it seems to me all these really bad players, if you will, they're being highlighted right now on the news. And that's for a reason.
Yeah.
We're setting them up to knock them down. The good guys are in control of the news too. And even mainstream media is dripping some stuff now, right? We're watching stuff change. So
yeah, I've
in the
heard some
meantime,
very interesting things.
Grassroots Warrior Network will take care of you over there.
Wow.
So we had I think one of our viewers who was asking, what's happening in Idaho? Anything?
And well, again, I think it's no matter what state you're in, this is every town USA,
Yeah.
right? Idaho's actually not as bad. Utah is really, really corrupt. But again, I think it's every state. I don't know because I don't live in Idaho, but you can tell us, like, you know what's going on in Idaho. 5 years ago, they told me this was the story that can't be told. It has to be learned. And that pissed me off. I'm like, just tell me, I can take it, right? I get it now because this is so crazy. You got to get in there and look to actually see and
Huge.
believe, right? And now it's it's not making me mad anymore. It's, you don't even need answers. You know, look inside yourself. You already know the answer. And as we get more scared or desperate, we seek confirmation or answers from other people, but you guys follow your heart. I'm a deer hunter from Bennington, Vermont. Don't listen to me. Why would anybody listen to me? I can give you the links. I can give you, you know, how I came to my conclusions. Here we go. We can have those conversations, but you guys got to go discover this on your own.
I have a quick question from one of our viewers, Julie. She says, is Massachusetts really getting cleaned up?
Yeah, I think they all are. Again, they can't tell you. And they
Even
can't tell.
California?
Yeah, in fact, I think a lot of stuff is happening in California. I know that for a fact. A lot of what we're seeing again is optics. We're playing cards with the deep state, but they're playing like this now. So you're seeing their hand, right? So we're
Yeah.
watching. Here in Vermont state, we not only passed assisted suicide, right? Infanticide, that's full term and above and beyond,
They
straight
have
up
that in
murder,
Canada.
right? Again, as a politician, even if I'm a 2A guy, but if I wanted your guns, I wouldn't tell you that. I'd say I believe in sensible gun control, and then I'd be backdooring you like they do. They're telling you, we're going to take your guns. They're telling you, we don't need parental consent.
They're
Those are
poking the bear.
it's over the top optics. So we have Bill H-87, I think it was called, but we just became a transgender or a child sex change sanctuary state. So again, medical freedom, right? Everybody believes in medical freedom. Well, now in Vermont state, you have the right to mutilate your child and there's no age limit. And even better, if my legislator said that if you come from a state where you have irresponsible legislation like New York, where that's illegal, you can come to Vermont state and we'll pay for it. The taxpayers will take care of you over here in Vermont and do that. And if there's parents that are fighting in New York state, no need to fight. Just the person that wants it brings their kid to Vermont and we'll do it. And we don't even need parental consent with that. If both parents don't want this, a child can run away to the state of Vermont right now and find any doctor or hospital or law enforcement and tell them, and we will take custody of that child, perform the sex change, and we're promising not to give it back to the state or the parents. And I want parents to think about that for a second.
Whoa.
Right now, we had 24 out of 38 Republicans pass that, and across the board of Democrats, everybody passed that. If that's not an optic, right? You should be mad if you live in Vermont. You should write in. And the same, like I see a pro-life, you know, anti-abortion rally going on, I stop and I ask questions. When I see those people, abortion is healthcare. I see those signs. And my first question is, who among us is pro-infanticide or pro full-term abortion? And I remember arguing with a woman, literally holding that sign saying, well, I didn't say I was for full-term abortion. Not only are you saying it, you're holding a sign, abortion is healthcare, that says you think I should pay for it. I disagree. And I love the topic of abortion politically because I can't make anybody happy. This is more division. You know anybody that's anti-life or anti-choice? You know anybody?
No.
Aren't we all pro-life and pro-choice? I don't want to take anybody's rights away. Nobody's. I do think it's a woman's decision, right? It's not one that I would make personally. I would never do that, but that's me, right? So as governor, I got to represent the people that disagree as much as the people it's about compromise, right?
Absolutely.
The last thing that I want to do is give the government permission or any say in this discussion. Well, in the abortion, this is a personal decision. between a woman
Absolutely.
and her baby and God. And I think
I-
everyone that goes through with it, they have detrimental trauma side effects. And I'm not going to tell you if it's right or wrong. That's your decision, right? But can we put a cap on it? Can we limit it? Do we want to use abortion for birth
For birth
control?
control? No.
50 million. And I think, again, education is a big part of that. When they find out who created Planned
Yeah.
Parenthood and why and what communities and what they're doing with the
Yeah.
stem cells and the aborted fetuses and all these things, that's going to change a lot of opinion, a lot of things right there, you know.
I
But
think so.
I would personally would cap it at the first. I'm against abortion. I'll put that out there to start with, but I think there's circumstances, and I don't think I have the right to tell you whether you should be against it or for it, right? But I would
Exactly.
cap it myself. I consider myself pro-life, but I would cap it. I wouldn't take away abortion either. I cap it at the first trimester. That's when babies start to feel pain. You got 3 months to figure out what's going on, right? I do think it should be on state health care, but you know, this is an argument again that I like because you can't make anybody happy. Personally, I would never do that, right? I do think it's the woman's choice, but hopefully as the father, I have a say in that.
Yeah.
Right? I hope there's communication going on between those
Right.
people. And there's so many other options. I just can't imagine. But then you look at rape and incest and circumstances, and there's a
Right.
whole bunch of things. Again, it's such a personal decision. You guys really want the government in on that decision? I don't. I want to protect you guys, and that's my position as governor. You know,
Mhm.
I don't want to. I don't want backroom abortions and co-hangers and all those other things either. There's a
Mm.
medical thing. If there's a, you know, a risk for mom, that's a completely different situation too. And most of those laws, this is common sense stuff.
Right.
Just like the gay community or the transgender community. Well, when we start realizing they're part of us too, and we all start
Of
uniting,
course.
right? We need part of that. But when they start, you know, drag story hour or Gary the transgender dinosaur that I'm talking about, come on. Like, are we going to put that into kindergarten or fifth grade? You know, here again in Vermont, up in Essex, we have a school. They just first sent out a notice that teachers can teach whatever they want. They don't need to even tell parents, or they don't need consent or none of that stuff, which I thought was really weird. But we can no longer call fifth graders boys and girls. We have to call them egg producers or sperm producers. Fifth
What?
graders. Get your kids out of those schools. The letter went home. This is all legitimate stuff.
I'm
And,
sorry. That's insane.
well, isn't a lot of the stuff we're talking about insane?
Oh,
Yeah, 100%.
completely.
100%. Yeah, it's just totally out of whack. It's like, okay, how do we stay authentic, true to ourselves, true to our purpose, and
Well,
feed that
you-
forward to our future families?
You let go.
Yeah.
Unplug. Stop listening.
There's a lot of
mean,
noise. Yeah.
There, and again, it's so hard to escape. You go to the gas station and it's coming across the speakers as you're pumping gas. Everybody's talking about it. It's in, you know, every TV, radio. There it is, right? If you want the truth, come on over to Grassroots Warrior Network or shows like this one. That's what I said. We're the alternative news. In fact, I don't even know anybody that's watching that stuff anymore. So
No.
ratings, my average podcast gets better ratings than CNN does. That's incredible. Right? So that's where I'm saying that forward progress you were talking about. We're doing it, guys. It doesn't. It's like when you know, anybody that's got grandkids out there, you haven't seen the grandkids in 6 months or whatever. You go to see them, you're like, oh my God, you grew 3 feet, right? Like, yeah, you're an adult all of a sudden. Mom
Right.
didn't get to see that because mom's living it every day, and that's what we've been doing. We've been living it. You know, people are like, when's it going to happen? It's been happening. We've been removing people for years and years. You got to look again at the size of this task. And we're talking about millions of people here, not just elected officials, either the private sector. And
Right.
again, it goes back to Freemasons and bloodlines. And it's not all Freemasons. It's not all Shriners. That's what I'm saying. We got to be
Right.
careful. We can't have generic state, you know, it's the Jews. No, it's
No.
not the Jews. Jewish, right? The Khazarian mafia, that's a whole different conversation. Right?
Exactly.
So many people are sick of Nazis. I heard that term, Nazis, right? A
Right.
lot. Well, again, the truth is we know it. That's why I said the scale of this lie, I think it's the shape of the earth. It's your language. It's your religion. It's the calendar. It's everything that you thought you knew. Physics, chemistry, absolutely our history. It's all wrong. And then you as an individual, I think everybody watching this is psychic. I think we're telepathic. I think you have, your mom was right. You're special. That's what I said. And like we were saying before, for me now, it's more remembering than learning, right? I've never done
Truly.
any of this stuff before. Never been afraid. Again, adventure, I dive in head first. But that's, again, what gives me experience. You know. Somebody told you, right? And our parents lied to us. Not that they would lie to us because they love us, but they were lied to and then they perpetuated it. And they told you
Yes.
these things when you were 5 years old. You didn't dare question it or you didn't know enough to. And then you've been pounded your whole life with the same lies. I mean, the stuff we're discovering is absolutely incredible. Where we come from, where we're going, like these historic questions, but it has to be done with dialogue. And for the first time in history, we can have these conversations. I've never been abducted by aliens. I know lots of people who have, right? If you've been abducted, now's the time to tell your story. And when you come out and you lay that puzzle piece down, you find there's 1,000 other people that go, hey, that happened to me. And you're not alone, right? Do you guys know what a Huna is?
Yes.
A Huna? Yeah, it's like a spiritual shaman.
Huna
Right.
Flash.
Huna Flash. That's right. He's a good pal. In fact, I
Yeah.
got my Huna seal from Huna Flash. I am Huna Kawatasa, right? And what that means, I got to explain this because, again, a Huna, it's that ancient wisdom, cultural stuff that's passed down from generation to generation. So the Native Americans, they believe in Bigfoot and aliens because they passed it down,
them.
where we didn't because of the ridicule, right? So my name, Kevin Michael Hoyt, right? My mom was a part of this, and I'm sure she didn't know, but somebody whispered in her ear and they named me Kevin Michael Hoyt. So Michael is the center of my name. That's the PowerPoint. That's Archangel Michael. And then
Oh, wow.
Kevin Hoyt, if you break that down in ancient Lemurian, means Kawatasa. And Kawatasa is Ka-wa-ta-sa, K-A-W-A-T-A. Those are ancient sounds. Like Ma is an ancient sound, first love. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Isn't it Ma, right?
Yeah.
So these are ancient cultural sounds and languages. So Kevin Hoyt, if you relay it over in Lemurian, is Kawatasa. That's where my name is. And if you look up the meaning of Kawatasa, it means that I'm the bearer of the first stone, the stone of love. And I
Wow.
bring a message, which is you are not alone. And the amazing part of that is I just got my Huna seal, I don't know, a year ago or something. That's been me my whole life before I knew it was me. And that's the synchronicities and that divine thing that you're talking about. You know, I'll share another story. When I first started television production, I wanted to be a TV star, go hunting for a living, right? The impossible dream. And I realized it and I got it. Well, a production company, where do you want to go? NBC Sports, because they're the biggest and hardest and had the toughest standards. So I submitted my pilot. We were in. Everything was cool, right? Had a couple shows up. And then I submitted a handicap from our, and these are a bunch of kids with spina bifida and MS. What a crazy hunt. We had a Laura Francesi is a professional cheerleader, a Buffalo Jill. I had Joella Bates with me. She's a 10-time, I think she was an 8-time world champion archer back then. But again, just a top-notch show. And NBC called me and said, hey, we why not?
You
Because we
just
found
broke
it
up.
sad.
What did they tell you?
They said we can't play that show, is what they said. They rejected it. And
Ridiculous.
I asked why, and they said because it was sad, right? And I'm like, sad? That's one of the most inspirational hunts I've ever been on. We've
Right.
got kids going, look, I did it. My handicap didn't hold me back. You shouldn't let anything hold you back. And we went around in circles for a while. And then I actually had an NBC exec tell me, well, they're not beautiful people. And
Oh,
at that point, I started getting upset. And I
yeah.
said, I want you to call any one of those parents and tell them that their kid's not a beautiful person. And we went back around for a little longer. And he ended up telling me, well, you're never going to see a handicap hunt on NBC Sports. And my response was, well, I don't know if I want to be on NBC Sports anymore. And I want people to put that in context, because I've been doing that for about 12 years, not getting paid for it at the time. I reached for national broadcast and I made it. That was my dream. I literally just threw it out the window. The right thing to do. So my next call was to my production company, who I hired and paid a lot of money and worked very hard to get me to that spot. And I said, I think I just quit. And they wanted to tell me, right? Now, I wish I could tell people that I was, this smart, but what that did is now, what do? You pick up the pieces, try different networks. Where else can we go? So they did, but now it wasn't just another guy with another show. It was NBC producer Kevin Hoyt. So that gave me a whole bunch of leverage. So I ended up on the Pursuit channel. They knocked $88,000 off their price. They gave me Time Warner cable for free. I made out like a bandit. It was one of the best things business-wise. I saved a bunch of money. It was scary at the time, though. I thought I just threw away everything, right? But I did the right thing. I made that call, and then I was rewarded. Right? That's how I see that. So even the same, I was talking about Marcus Kahn with the tumor, right? He said because he had cancer and almost died and all that thing, he always had sympathy for people, but now he actually has empathy, because he was able to live through that, to go through the medical experiment and see that side of it. Again, I still don't want to be governor, right? But I never ran for governor, but now that I've been through that process, I can tell you guys how corrupt it is. Through experience, not what someone told me, through experience, right? Again, whether your parents, your teacher, your politician, all these things we were told turned out they might not be so true.
That was a huge learning curve. Can you go over your Grassroots Warrior Network again, so everybody knows where to find you?
Sure, that's on Rumble. Well, again, we're going to have it all over the place if I get my way. But most of it's going to be on Rumble. It'll be exclusively on Rumble, at least for now. I'm so proud of the team that we literally went from concept in my head to doing 21 shows a week in less than 6 weeks with no equipment, no experience, no money. We still don't have money. I can see a need for our own .com and all those things already, but we're doing the best with what we got, right? That's how we're going to continue it until we get and we're really the bad news bears of media. Like we're so good at what we do, but man, we're all over the map right now. We're still getting, again, the official launch is Sunday. So I hope people come over and check that out on Rumble. Free gold or free silver, free guns, free everything. We got a whole bunch of cool stuff over there for you.
So you're giving away silver cash and prizes.
We are.
Right.
Again, we got a custom painted pistol coming from Chris Ripple. We've got some like classic fishing lure owned by some famous people. I'm going to be giving away silver coins. Brad Stair, who is the nation's or the world's premier firearms manufacturer. He's giving a couple gun upgrade kits. So you can take your factory gun and turn it into a super long distance machine. So we got lots of thousands of dollars worth of stuff just to get you guys over there and check it out and come meet the team. And then I hope they check out the content, and it's so varied. If you got something you're interested in, we got it on that network, I hope. And if we don't, come on the network and you can put that on there too.
That'll be live on Rumble on Sunday, correct?
It is.
I'm sorry, Satnam. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's amazing. That's incredible. The level of service and support that you're providing, Kevin, through your networks that you're putting out there is just phenomenal. And it's again, that awareness as to what support is available for people and not living in fear, because when you really connect hands is when you really realize the power, right, of the togetherness. So thank you for that.
Well, and what's coming, people got to realize what is coming is going to be so beautiful. And again, we've got policies. I've got a way out, a proven solution out of the opioid crisis. If I get my way, Vermont's going to lead the nation, right? We've got a way to clean our oceans. We've got free energy. We've got all these amazing things. We just have to let that system crash. And that's the scary part, the unknown. We're talking about the fall of our government, ladies. Like, I think the government as we know it is gone, and it's never coming back ever again. But I like to predict the future by building it And that's what we're doing. We're actually doing it. We get a say. So I think we're going to have a lot smaller government. Maybe term limits is a good idea, right? But we'll have a
Yes.
little more localized stuff. And for the people that want to get involved, you have no idea how important that local select board or school board is. That's your community. You start with your house, clean up your own house, then you work with your community, go to your state and go on. And I think, again, for the right reason, in the service of others, do
Yes.
good work. And if you do it that way, then God's going to reward you. So
I have something really quick that I wrote down for this show. It says, nothing in nature lives for itself. Rivers don't drink their own water. Trees don't eat their own fruit. The sun doesn't shine for itself. Flowers don't spread their fragrance for itself. Living for others is the rule of nature.
it is. It's all about the love. And I can feel it on this show, right from the title to meeting you, lady. So thanks for having me on. I love the smiles too. You know how much a smile changes? It's another thing for people. Test it tomorrow. When you're walking down the street and you see somebody coming, throw them a smile and see what happens. It's contagious.
It is.
That's how we brighten the world. It's that simple. And if you have two friends, at least two people, just talk to them. Share this video, click the rumble button, warn them, right?
Kevin, yeah, this is awesome. What a show. And we really feel honored and blessed.
Well, thanks.
So much appreciation, so much love and support for you. We thank you immensely for being here, joining us to get the word out, for being the warrior, right?
Yes.
So we thank you for fighting the fight. We thank you for educating and reaching out to others to do the same. It's part of the journey, and we feel blessed to be part of the journey with you.
Come join the colony. That's what I
Yes.
say. People, they're like, what? Well, if all this is true, what are we waiting for?
Yeah.
You. That's all
Us.
we're waiting for.
Yeah.
We're waiting for you.
Yeah. So we continue doing our best each and every day that we wake up and we rise and shine. And we just stay focused on what is important. And we will get through this together, because that's where the power is. So
Right.
we love and appreciate you. We thank you. We would love to have you back on again to share your messages. So
Sure.
for tonight, I think we're going to wrap it up. There's been a lot of information shared. There's been a lot of knowledge and wealth of wisdom. And you have a whole encyclopedia. And we feel that we can do a deep dive on in the future.
I'm out of wind and I'm just getting started. But
Yeah.
you know, I see you. I see you, everybody that's watching, and you guys that are, again, doing a podcast. You are
Yeah.
doing it. I'm proud of you, and I thank you, and I'm honored and privileged to walk this path. Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you. It's
you,
a real
Kevin, for
pleasure
being
to be in
here.
service to everybody. And this is what it's about. We're being in service to each other during these times. And this is where the love and support is. So we thank you. We wrap it up for today, and we'll see you next time. Stay in high vibrations. Say high vibes up. Okay. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye for now.